A child makes a mistake and the room becomes silent. An adult sighs. A teacher frowns. A parent corrects immediately. And in that moment, something invisible happens inside the child. The child does not only hear correction, the child feels judgment. Jean Piaget spent his entire life trying to stop this exact moment from being misunderstood. He did not fight parents or teachers. He did not accuse schools. He simply observed children long enough to realize something powerful. Children do not fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because their intelligence is still forming. Piaget noticed that children do not think like broken adults. They think like mines under construction. Every mistake is a brick being tested. Some bricks fit, some do not. But without testing, no structure can ever stand. When Piaget watched children answer questions incorrectly, he did not rush to fix them. He asked one silent question to himself. What kind of thinking produced this answer? That question changed psychology forever. One child looks at two equal glasses of water and says they are the same. The water is poured into a taller glass. The same child now says, the taller glass has more water. To an adult, this feels wrong. To Piaget, this felt honest. The child was not lying. The child was not guessing. The child was not careless. The child was thinking with the tools available at that moment. The child focused on height because height was visible. Quantity was invisible. The brain had not yet built the idea that amount stays the same when shape changes. That idea does not arrive by force. It arrives by growth. Piaget showed the world that logic is not born complete. Logic is assembled slowly through experience. A child who counts incorrectly is not bad at math. A child who spells wrong is not careless. A child who mixes fantasy with reality is not confused. Each behavior reflects the stage of thinking the child is currently living in. Piaget discovered that children live in mental worlds that adults forget they once lived in too. A small child believes the sun follows them, not because the child is foolish, because the child has not yet learned to separate self from universe. The world still feels personal. Everything feels connected to their own movement. Correcting that belief too harshly does not speed learning. It only creates silence. Piaget warned that when adults kill wrong answers too quickly, they kill curiosity along with them. Children learn by doing something wrong and then adjusting. That adjustment is intelligence growing. Without adjustment, there is no learning. Without mistakes, there is no thinking. Piaget explained that the mind works like this. First, it tries to fit the world into what it already knows. When that fails, discomfort appears. Then, slowly, the mind changes itself. That discomfort is learning. Parents often try to remove discomfort. Teachers often rush to provide answers. But Piaget showed that answers given too early weaken the mind. A child building a tower that falls again and again is not wasting time. That child is learning balance, gravity, patience, and cause and effect. Every fall teaches more than a lecture ever could. A child who argues about rules is not disobedient. That child is testing fairness. The idea of justice is forming. Silencing that argument delays moral development. Piaget taught us that intelligence is not obedience. Intelligence is interaction. When children repeat the same mistake, adults grow frustrated. Piaget grew interested. He saw repetition as the mind trying again with new internal adjustments. The mistake looks the same on the outside. Inside the brain, it is different each time. This is why punishment does not teach thinking. Fear freezes exploration. And exploration is how intelligence grows. Piaget believed the role of adults was not to pour knowledge into children. The role was to create environments where thinking could happen safely. A classroom where mistakes are mocked produces quiet students, not intelligent ones. A home where errors are feared creates obedience, not wisdom. Piaget showed that many adults stop growing mentally because they stop making mistakes. They protect beliefs instead of testing them. Children do the opposite naturally. They test everything. This is why children ask endless questions, not to annoy, but to build reality. Piaget research proved that mental development moves in stages. Each stage has limits. Expecting a child to think beyond their stage is like asking a seed to become a tree overnight. When children fail to understand abstract ideas, they are not slow. Their minds are still concrete. They need objects, experiences, and time. Piaget research saved millions of children from unfair labels. Slow learner, weak student, problem child. He replaced labels with understanding. A mistake stopped being evidence of low intelligence. It became evidence of development in progress. For parents, this message is powerful. Correct less. Observe more. For teachers, this message is revolutionary. Teach thinking, not answers. When a child says something wrong, the most important question is not what is the correct answer. The most important question is how did the child reach this answer? That path reveals the mind. Jean Piaget did not defend mistakes. He defended the thinking behind them. He taught us that intelligence is not speed. It is structure. It is built slowly through trial, failure, adjustment, and reflection. A child mistake is not stupidity. It is intelligence revealing its current shape. If we listen instead of judging, if we guide instead of punish, if we allow space instead of fear, then the same mistakes we once hated become signs of a healthy, growing mind. Jean Piaget did not just study children. He protected childhood itself, and his message remains alive. Every time a child is allowed to think freely, every time a mistake becomes a lesson, not a wound, every time intelligence is allowed to grow at its own pace, that is where real education begins.